Today you saw a blistering middle session.
You talked about David Warner playing close to his potential. It's a huge weapon that Australia will have. Well, Mitchell Johnson did today. He played absolutely to his potential. And it was thrilling to watch. Ryan Harris right up there as well. Peter Siddle didn't let anyone down. Nathan Lyon right to his potential. And these guys know that that had to happen if they're going to not only win, but just be competitive. They had to lift and get much closer to what they can achieve, potential-wise, against England.
Oh, some interest. Not enormous interest, just a little bit of interest. Here we go. Stuart Broad comes in for a little chat. I don't think there's enough happening behind for them to have a look.
I reckon the way Rogers reacted has sort of given them a little bit of an impression that he might have hit it. His head went straight back. It looked really dodgy from the batsman.
Well, Alistair Cook at first slip wasn't overly convinced, and he shook his head almost straight away. Let's have a look. Nothing there on hot spot at all. Nothing on his back leg either, so it didn't flick the hip on the way through. Let's see if there's any sort of noise. No, nothing on our real-time snicko. So I'm not sure, maybe a scraping of the foot. Looks almost like a gap between the ball and the bat too on the bottom right shot there. So I think there's a bit of space. So I think in the end it was right not to review that, because there doesn't seem to be any evidence that there was an edge there.
Nice shot. That's the way for Chris Rogers. Leaned into that nicely. Not a lightning quick outfield, so it won't get to the rope. But these are good signs.
He transferred beautifully into that shot. Alistair Cook would have liked to have done that today. So he's followed up that one before it. Just have a look at his technique as the ball passes his bat. Just looks a little bit iffy, doesn't it? He follows it up with a good drive.
It may have been that actual movement that brought about the potential review, that Stuart Broad might have thought, well, he looks guilty, doesn't he? Looks a bit guilty.
Good balance by both Australian batsmen. Rogers is very static on the back foot, now getting his front foot up. And Warner comfortable both shoes. It's one double bunger. Looking to fish Peterson down at fine leg, maybe a little bit of bait. Try a thong on.
Not sure what you catch with a thong. Tub, you're the fisherman amongst us. None for 20. Four for 61. Mitch Johnson, and big part of the collapse of England, 136. And rapid. He just slapped the ball into the gloves, went after the English tail. If you weren't able to watch it earlier on, we're going to give you a bit of a look at Mitch Johnson, the aggression. It was fantastic to watch how he went about it, and he's put Australia now in the box seat.
I also liked, as we mentioned a moment ago, Nathan Lyon. I like the fact that the selectors had the bravery to pick him in this game. I know they were really tossing up between him and James Faulkner, whether he should play in this game.
That's going to go for 4. Whether it's off the bat or the thigh pad, it doesn't matter. 4 to the tally. It's a leg bite.
And sometimes in this game, you've got to get a bit lucky. I think the Australian selectors, and I think Michael Clark always said he wants to play with the spinner no matter what the pitch is like. So they put the spinner in, he then wins the toss, so he gets to bat first, so he's going to bowl last. And then for the first time for a while, Nathan Lyon gets a little bit of fortune with the ball. He bowls well, but he gets a couple of bat pads to go to men, whereas we saw him bowl well at times in the Ashes series in England, and balls just tended not to find fieldsmen. He got a couple of bat pads, cut veggies, and they fell safely. Today he got the ball to go in the right places. He was rewarded with a couple of wickets. And now, because the selectors have been brave and picked him in the first test match, his confidence will have now lifted for the remainder of the summer. Now, they left him out, and then they'll need him in Adelaide. his confidence would be down and his belief would not be there. Now 9 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 17. He's into the team. He's now confident and now can play a big role for Australia throughout this series. May not necessarily be taking 1,000 wickets, but doing a job as he did today.
Rogers certainly showing some intent to leave the ball decisively. I'm sure all the Australian top order wished that they might have done something yesterday that they did and fished at a couple. Quality bowling from Broad just drew them into some strokes they didn't really want to play outside the line of off. And today Rogers is demonstrating a great desire. If it's out there, I'm leaving it. If it's at the stumps, I'm playing straight.
We know that these English fast bowlers are going to pour the pressure on. They're high quality, Anderson and Broad. These two opening batsmen are doing a fine job for Australia getting through, giving Watson, Clark, Smith, Bailey, Haddon some protection.
Crowd reasonably subdued so far at the moment. They've obviously had a big afternoon. They're probably settling down from that middle session where Australia took 6 for 9 at one stage. They'll all be sitting a little bit on the edge of their seats, just hoping this continues from an Australian point of view. None for 24, nearly 7 overs bowled. Australia are none down at stumps tonight. Whoa. Well, they will be in a dominant position.
Nicely bowled and well played too from Chris Rogers. None for 24 Australia, and Heels, you spoke earlier about a dominant performance from Mitch Johnson.
Backed up in tandem with Lyon, Siddle, Ryan Harris, of course, but it was sheer devastation. The English had no answers. It was sustained, it was fast, and it was straight at the body. And then every now and then, just spearing in at the stumps.
It was aggressive, wasn't it? It was really aggressive. When the tail came out, he went right after them.
6 for 9 from 57 balls. It was a blitz. And the English tail have now got plenty to think about when they come out to bat in the remainder of this series. They did cop it. One finds Carberry. There's the tail of that devastation. Look at the times on the right there. From 143 to 257. 6 wickets fell. 237, I should say. Here's Broad again. Warner had to think about it and then got himself out of the way. And we're going to get out of the way. Make room for David Lloyd, who's just come in. Shane Warne, who's not far away. And Michael Slater, who's right here.
Thanks, JB. It's an important stage of the Test match for both teams, but Australia now with a lead at the start of the second innings. Can you believe 183? Who would have thought? It's been a remarkable day's play, as was yesterday. And Broad trying to reproduce what he did yesterday. Warner 15 from 15, Bumble.
There's a pattern, isn't there? You watch the way that England are bowling, and that's method, line and length and decent pace, but you just think back to 136 all out Mitchell Johnson, throw the kitchen sink at him. It's emerging Australia are the quicker bowlers.
In behind it, he's looking controlled at the crease again. Dave Warner still trying to get himself going. It's Rogers who's faced the most deliveries, 5 from 30. That's his pace. That's the way he opens. He's a more traditional opener. Will face a lot of balls, accumulate. That's why the combination's a good one. When you've got an aggressor at one end and then someone who's a bit more dour, they can work well together.
A bit like you and Tubbs, Mick. A block artist and a stroke maker like Davey Warner. Up and under. That'll go to the boundary again. David Warner goes to 19 with his second boundary. Just the width from Stuart Broad. You're going to bowl short, it's got to be well directed. David Warner, we saw in the first innings, play a couple of uppercuts, a really good pull shot, a hook shot. That was just the width, and Davey Warner's really strong out there.
Perfect for a little guy. Loves it there, give him a bit of width. No fielders in the sky.
He's a pocket rocket. He's so strong. And a clever stroke, so that's the second boundary. And thought about shaping up for the pull shot. Just saved it there. No wicket for 28. There's the golf cart. It's the converted golf cart for Kevin Mitchell. They come out with a utensil. What do we call that one, Bumble? It's the stamper downer.
This is a pounder. Yeah, pounder. You'll see everything here. There'll be shovels, spades, chisels, drills. Make a blind bit of difference.
Straight from the hospital that did your knee. They get around. Okay, let's have a look at the England wickets and the capitulation today. There's Cook. That's a big wicket. That's the first one, first session, and Harris gets rid of the captain. And then we've got Trott. That was just before lunch. That was just like Watson getting out Warnie.
Yeah, and they had their tail up here. Kevin Peterson, next man to go. Good catch, good sharp catch from George Bailey. That was the start where Mitchell Johnson started to get his tail up. Good tactical change from Michael Clarke and Mitchell Johnson to change the angle. Then Nathan Lyon came into his own. Just a bit of bounce and a bit soft from Bell. And then Pryor again. His last two test matches at the Gabba, he's faced 2 cherries. Well, he won't enjoy that. Then a technical fault again from Joe Root, hanging back with the pace of Mitchell Johnson. And then to the tail. The tail are going to be sleepless nights, thinking about 150km/h short stuff. And more short stuff here. Good catch from Lyon, good presence of mind to come forward. And then to finish it off, Stuart Broad swung the bat pretty well. A good catch out in the deep from Buck Rogers. All out for 136, England. Disappointing. They'll be disappointed with that and gave up a big lead. Australia now 187 ahead.
Down the ground, Rogers. He's putting the foot down just a little bit. He loves them there. He won't hit the ball as hard as Warner at times. Didn't quite time it. But 3 all the same. Unless KP was touching the rope when he touched the ball.
It was a good effort. He's safe here. Good effort and a good dive. There's no divots. And all he slid rather than got stuck into the turf. Got to spare a thought for the bowlers, being an ex-bowler myself. It's hard to bowl every day of the test match. We're into 2 days and England have had to bowl both days so far. And so to see the fielders putting in this sort of effort to stop a run, stop every run, it's crucial.
Bowlers will be cranky with the batters. Australia bowled out for less than 300. Bowlers would say, done the job. Over to you, batters. Didn't do the job.
Still directed there. Anderson will be pushing hard for that extra pace. He's got a lovely action the way he gets through the crease. In Bumble, there's an interesting stat that I learned about an hour ago, that England on tours, away tours, their first innings of the last 5, they've been dismissed for under 200 runs. So it is something that England have failed to do, arriving in another country, is get going early in the tour. So we've seen that again today. Shouts, but not out.
Yeah, around the wicket from that angle, the height, not much going for it really. Chris Rogers just changing his bat. Saw that one he nailed down the ground, only go for 3. It just shows his outfield's a bit slow, but Chris Rogers might want a bigger bat. Might be able to get to the boundary. Bigger middle on it.
This question the Woody was using, that should have gone for 4. What's going on? Maybe there was a bit of a crack in the handle. He might have been using it with a bit of a crack. He splays the legs, doesn't he, in his stance? And that's solidly behind it. He'd be forgetting about the dismissal yesterday now. He's been out there for, this is the 9th over. Starting to feel more comfortable.
Well, the pace isn't there from England. Jimmy Anderson less than 130 Ks. Ample time just to ease back. Nice, solid defensive shot. Well, there's no doubt that England were ruffled by quality fast bowling. It's thrilling to see, always has been. The pitch that's got a little bit of bounce and pace in it, response from bowlers bending the backs. England are just settling into the game, and it's comfortable for these two opening batsmen. They've moved on to 32.
He's got plenty of time to play that, so no, different pace, isn't it, from the England bowlers at the moment. No wicket for 32. Well, there are the paces of the Australian bowlers compared with the England new ball bowlers. It's quite startling, actually. That makes a difference. Facing 148.8 or facing 140, you do notice it as a batsman.
Well, there's an X factor there when you look at that, and Ryan Harris right up there. Spotlight will always be on Johnson, who I thought was irresistible today. Got a change of bowling here. Tremlett comes into the attack. And defensive, this field is now 2 slips and a gully. There are savers either side, square of the wicket either side.
Tremlett gets whacked to Carberry in the deep. There he is, deep point, can you believe? And that's because maybe Australia's got such a lead, but Michael Clarke, he needs credit for the captaincy today. It was aggressive, it was ahead of the game, he made things happen. What does Cook need to do to stay on top of this game?
Yeah, it's a good one with Michael Clarke. I thought he had a good day, and I thought Alistair Cook had a fantastic day yesterday, and now he finds himself in probably the toughest thing to do when you're captain, and that is to have save runs and try and take wickets. Now, this deep point, spoke about it during when Michael Clarke was out there with the Australian bowlers. Even when things weren't happening for Australia, Michael Clarke still didn't have a deep point, and the reason he didn't have that deep point we can see out there is he didn't want the singles to happen. He wanted the bowlers to bowl ball after ball, a short ball, another short ball. They didn't want to get the batsman off strike. Alistair Cook has dropped this deep point out, I think, way too early. He's trying to stop runs, and he can understand that. But the psyche of a bowler bowling to a batsman is to bowl delivery after delivery and keep the wood on him. Don't get the pressure off. And that's what Australia did really well today, even when it wasn't happening for them. And he's gone a bit quick to retreat, Alistair Cook. The only way he can get back into this game is to take wickets. If he just tries to defend, there's too much time left in the game. Australia can take their pick of how many runs they want to declare. He has to keep the field up and allow his bowlers to bowl balls at them. I'm sure you guys as batsmen would love to get up the other end. You're facing Jeff Thompson bowling like the wind. The best place to face him is up the other end.
it's like it's collateral damage. I also, my own view is that whether it's a collective between the bowler and the captain, the management, the coaches, when you see either side square, it's telling the bowler, not really got confidence in you. Should have another catcher. As a batsman, you think, I've got one there, just push it, I get one. And the guy's out there, so he's not at third slip. So I've got a gap, there's no third man. But I will stress, it's the England way. When you get in a jam, try and shut it down.
Another run away for 4. So Rogers hits his first boundary. And that is another zone that he loves. All left-handers do. It's short and wide, and he just has to use the pace. So Rogers now into double figures. Australia playing a test match. He's one of the elder statesmen, great in the change room and working nicely with Warner.
Yeah, this is just the width, and you're just keeping an eye on the England bowlers' pace. We had the pace up with Mitchell Johnson bowling close to 150, Harris close to 150. So far in this innings, Tremlett's around 123 to 125. Jimmy Anderson was 127. They're tired. They've got to find something here, England. Their bowlers have to find something. None for 37, Australia.
Australia yesterday were in trouble. They rallied through Johnson and Haddon in particular. An outstanding innings of 94, deserved 100, was run out today. 295 plays 136. England were looking comfortable as Australia in the first session yesterday, and then lost 6 for 9, can you believe? And now Australia no wicket for 37. That's an overall lead of just shy of 200, 196 to be precise. As Graham Swan comes into the attack, the offie.
Yeah, why not? 10 overs, nothing much from the quicks. The fact remains that the difference in this game has been the pace of Australia against England's batters. Quality batters couldn't cope.
Swan, good time, good move from Cook. Quicks weren't looking threatening at all. Swan's on. See if Graham Swan can get the same turn and bounce that Nathan Lyon did. I've got a bit of a theory about why he hasn't at the moment. He's a class act, Graham Swan, but he's bowling a lot of side spin. And Nathan Lyon at the Gabba, it's always been about overspin and top spin.
An outside edge, but gets it through. Warner, he's only a puncher sometimes, and look how far that travels. They were looking for 3, and they settled for 2. So a little bit of turn there for Swan.
I've been watching Carberry there. Michael Carberry, he's electric in the field, he's limping. Now, has he got any overspin there? There's a little bit of tweak on this.
That's a great shot there. Throw that again.
If you just heard a thump through your speaker at home with Dolby sound, it was Warney putting one down. He was always safe in the slips. He's dropped one.
I dropped plenty, don't worry. Graham Swan, just looking at that one, he's bowling a lot more overspin compared to the first innings. Look how he comes over the top of that, and it drew a false stroke from Warner. And I think when he first starts, he likes to get the ball in there and bowl a bit quicker, which means side spin. But straight away, he's gone more overspin here. And the shot that David Warner tries to play, he tries to play a drive, he's not there. And that's the dip and turn and bounce that you need at the Gabba, and that's why the spinners can be successful. Overspin's the key, not side spin.
And he's hit a length straight away, perfect length.
Leading edge, so there is turn, and he would have been buoyed by what he saw from Nathan Lyon earlier in the day. No wicket for 39. Opening stand, 39. Crucial for Australia as that one's an under edge. Just a little bit of trivia. Rogers, short-sighted, so must have the contacts in when he bats. He wears glasses when he fields. And when he's off the field, he's got the spectacles, and he's colourblind. I don't know if that changes the colour of the ball. He might think he's in a one-day out. I don't know. Might be a pink ball.
As long as he watches it, he's doing okay. I tell you what, look at that stance, Mick.
It's the knees out, isn't it? He's been around for a long, long time, hasn't he? And he's probably still pinching himself. He can't believe he's out there. Got that one lone test match many moons ago, and then would have thought that was it. And through just weighted runs, churning it out. And the fact that maybe no youngsters, or certainly no youngsters have put their hand up, he comes back into the side. A little bit like Carberry, I suppose, for England. Oh, just short. Just short. Good delivery. Tremlett trying hard, using his height. Extra bounce there.
How do you think it's going to go, this pitch running into day 2? I know that Ryan Harris said that the cracks are starting to appear, but it's still a superb surface.
It looks a really good flat surface, but all we can go on, I suppose, that Australia's top hurdle was 6 for 132, and England are all out for 136. The tail wagged. I think the crack's going to come out a bit, but it still looks a fantastic pitch. I think it's been a combination of some negative mindset batting, just trying to survive, and some quality bowling from both sides. And just looking out the window now at the England team, they look a bit flat. They need a bit of an energy pill. Just need to start vibing it up a bit out there.
Well, I think it'll be talked about a lot throughout the series at pace. Pitches are going to be quick and bouncy. If Australia get it right, we're going to play on some quick bouncy pitches if we can. And it's emerging that the firepower is going to come from Johnson. Ryan Harris is going to support him well, and you've got Steady Eddie coming in behind, who's also 85, 86 miles an hour, Peter Siddle.
Oh, there's going to be a big shout. That might be the pill that Warnie's talking about. No. Click the pad. Or maybe the bat hit the pad on the way through. There was a noise.
It was a good delivery. It was full and it decked across the left hand of Chris Rogers. Just whether the bat hit the pad or the ball hit the pad. I'm not sure which one it was. The bat misses it. The ball thumps into the pad. Good delivery. Need a few more of those. They just need a wicket to lift the energy levels in that up there. They're a bit disappointed, England, of their day. The bowlers are tired. They need someone to put their hand up and try and grab the rest of the team with them. Put in a big 35, 40 minutes till stumps.
It's been a good over from Tremlett, creating a lot of pressure. Good deliveries, good angle across the left-hander, and a couple of close calls. So no wicket for 39 after the maiden. And Warner, what will we be saying? Just play your natural game. I think that is exactly the way he wants to go about his batting.
Just looking at both the off spinners and their technique and talking about the overspin on the left, we can see Nathan Lyon, and on the right Graham Swan. They've both got their tongues sticking out. They've not bite too hard down on that. That's fantastic. Let's have a look at the actions they come down. Very similar actions. Both got good front arms. Both arm heights are similar. Just seeing right at the end, it's very, very similar the way they release the ball. Just the seam looks a bit better from Nathan Lyon. The only thing I could pick up from that, and why Nathan Lyon could get a bit more overspin on the ball, he's got a fraction more. It doesn't look much there, it's a fraction more. Is look how far the ball is out of his hand. The ball's coming out a little bit more from the palm of his hand compared to Swan. It's a bit further back, which means you can bowl a bit more underspin when it's further back in your palm. You can get more leverage when the ball comes out of the palm of your hand. Carberry's struggling a bit running for that. He's very quick, but that's a fantastic shot to look at those two.
That's a fabulous split screen. They're almost identical, aren't they? And it's great to see the tongue and the concentration and the eyes. But the delivery, the shape, the body shape is almost identical.
There's plenty happening out there. That was a streaky outside edge, went through the legs of the man in the gully position. Second slip, if you like. And what is it with the tongues and spinners? Brad Hogg, remember Hoggy? Warney, I think your tongue was out.
Yeah, I think it's just a concentration thing. Yeah, you really try and just... you don't even realise you do. It's like poker. You've got to pick up those little tells.
Oh, the poker face. Nicely played. Crisp through the offside. Uses the feet to perfection, Warner.
Yeah, when you are concentrating, there's some things you miss you don't even realise you give off. I remember Greg Chappell talking about Abdul Qadir bowling leg breaks, and there was a lot of the batsmen couldn't pick his wrong un, and Greg Chappell was picking it pretty well. The reason he was picking it pretty well is that when Abdul Qadir was going to come in and bowl his second wrong, and it was a bit harder to pick, he bowled the obvious one that they'd show him, and then bowl one that not many batsmen picked. Greg Chappell did it easy because he said he ran in with a big smile on his face. Abdul Qadir's coming because he knew the batsman wasn't going to pick it, he's going to knock him over. And Greg Chappell picked it up very well. So when the spinners and that are concentrating, sometimes you do things that you aren't aware of, like the tongue out.
I'm not having any of that.
Take it up with GC.
Oh, dear. I want to ask about this poker face as well. You've worked hard on that over the years, haven't you? And Sonny's on or off?
Sonny's on.
Oh, it's close to the outside edge. Just to let you know that we are staying with the cricket right to the end of the day, and that will be 5:30. So if you're in New South Wales, Victoria, and you're not going anywhere until this second day concludes.
It's a good over from Swan. Good pace, bit of spin. What is his poker face? What's he get on?
Well, I have seen him, not live, I've watched him on TV and the glasses. He's got the mirror glasses on.
Cowboy hat. You're a cow.
Oh,
big cowboy hat.
Yeah, he goes in with the cap on, don't you, at times?
Yeah, big cowboy hat.
Cap and sunnies, yeah. Occasionally I've worn the big hat.
Yeah.
What about
Sombrero.
What about beads of sweat? Does that ever cost you?
Yep. I've got eyes that give it things away, Mick. Be a few here for Slater, for Michael Slater, for Davey Warner. Good running, good aggressive running for 3. Now the old poker face, like, just give it away. I try. You've got to stare at yourself in the mirror, they say, to practice, but I start giggling when I do that. So.
Well, you've done that most of your life, haven't you? You should have perfected that.
Sorry, I'll just keep feeding you the lines, Mick, don't worry.
Have you got a nickname?
No, I haven't. I haven't got a nickname yet. I've been called plenty at the poker table, but haven't got a proper nickname yet. I've got a few that stand out. There's the Unibomber, Phil Lark.
Not your go, Bumble. You're not into the poker. He hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Spends a lot of time thinking.
No,
like
I like poker. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of it, I've got a big game tonight, actually, down on the Gold Coast. I'm looking forward to it. A few friends, and they're bringing some mates that are trying to go and fleece us. Should be a good, fun night tonight.
You play for proper money or matchsticks?
Matchsticks to start with because it's friendly, and then it might get a bit more lively after that, Bumble. Just a few bob, just a little bit of, just a little bit of flutter, just a little bit of friendly stuff.
You know what they say, you pay to find out, don't you?
And it's always like, what do you want to play for? And all you have to say is, when someone says to you, what would you like to play for? You just want to say to them, whatever makes you uncomfortable.
A reminder to anyone thinking about coming tomorrow, tickets available for day 3. Not many, but you can find a seat in this amazing venue that has had a cracking atmosphere for 2 days. It's been the perfect start to an Ashes series. It has never lost its lustre, has it? It's just so competitive. The players, even if they're not into their history, they understand the history and tradition of the Ashes, and that's why it's what it is today.
And there's a great atmosphere here at the ground. It's Ashes fever after that, with what those couple of hours today Australia did. It's Ashes fever's alive. the Coliseum here at the Gabba. Get down here if you can. It's going to be a thrilling test match day tomorrow. Plenty to come too. If you can't get down here, make sure you join us on Channel 9.
Just that spider cam shot we had, it was quite high, but you can really see the cracks starting to run down the pitch. Probably the best example of it, really. And they will be more pronounced tomorrow. We'll take that shot tomorrow and just see what's happened, but definite ridges. It's maybe not as obvious when you're looking down the pitch that way, although the batsman will notice them, but nothing out of the ordinary's happened just yet. If one goes, then it's in the back of your mind. So 14 overs, no wicket for 47. This is a very good opening stand. Solid.
Well, that's the word, solid. Keep England quiet. There's been no nip in the attack from the quicker bowlers. They will be seething. England quick bowlers, batsmen not done the job. These two have been excellent. David Warner's moved on to 30. The watchful Rogers is on 12. Plenty in today. About the same yesterday, just a few more. Used to be a dog track, didn't there? I remember a dog track.
Yeah, it was quite a small ground, and you'd walk with the sight screen in front of us was almost your entry onto the field, and the dressing room was pretty well down the pitch, and you'd walk across the dog track, down a few stairs, and then you could hang around after the day's play, have a couple of schooners, and start punting on the dogs.
With these six tracks, 6 dogs or 8 dogs, 6 dogs. Sometimes they have 8 dogs running around, but there's 6, I'd have thought.
Yeah.
Red inside track.
Yeah, I don't know.
Blue
Just
track
back
2.
the 4 dog. Always back the 4 dog.
That's black. 4 dogs black. 5 dogs orange. Black and white 6. Red inside track. Blue 2 dog.
Jeez. You're into that.
Still like the dogs. I'm sure I've been here. He's 74.5. There'll have been a dog track here. I'm definite.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. It wasn't until sort of early, about 92, 93, maybe even 94.
Here he goes again, Warner, jumping back. He will like a bit of a shorter length. It's the fuller length that's more difficult to the left-hander, and that's why Lyon was so good to Carberry when he came on. There was not a lot of attack from Carberry, allowed him to settle, but it was the spin away from the left-hander. But surprisingly, I suppose he got Bell and Pryor, the right-handers, coming back in. Nicely played, and that's a good delivery as well.
We've been talking about pace of the quick bowlers. Just looking at Graham Swann's pace, he's just a bit quick for the ball to really grip into the surface. He's mixing it up pretty well with his side spin, his top spin. You can see there when David Warner goes comfortably on the back foot, it looks easy. When he bowls a bit more overspin and a bit slow and he's dragging Warner forward, they're the ones where he looks like he's struggling a little bit. You can make him second guess and bring a mistake. So I'd like to see Graham Swann just bowl a fraction slower and a little bit more overspin.
His speed is up there. Line was sort of high 80s for a lot of the day as well.
Yeah, but when you get that overspin, you can afford to bowl a bit quick. If you bowl overspin, you get the ball to dip, and that's why we saw... See, that one's got a bit more overspin on it, and suddenly it causes a little bit of issues. Where the one before it, he hit a nice cover drive to covers. So a bit slower pace and a bit more overspin will be the key for Swann. Keep an eye on it.
Final half hour now, and England needs something. They need an injection, and the wicket is the way to do that. Just something, particularly if it's Warner for them, because they know that he's the game changer. Such an explosive player. It doesn't feel like he's played many shots, but he's 30 from 37. No wicket for 47 in maiden, and England pushing hard. The artificial light just starting to kick in at this point when the quicks are on. The umpires, they come together and just think about whether it's natural light, artificial light. They don't like when it takes over too much. Changing the commentary, it'll be Ian Chappell, Mark Nicholas and Mark Taylor.
Thank you, Michael Slater. Yes, don't forget 9 News will follow the cricket 25 minutes, maybe half an hour left. Light pending, that will be the only thing. I'm looking around at the moment. Got all the lights on, had them on for quite a while. Facing Swan won't be the problem, but Tremlett can be a bit awkward with the lights on. They always like to have the natural light still dominating. Once the artificial light starts to dominate, that's when the umpires get a bit twitchy when they get off the ground. These two have done a terrific job though. Warner 30 once again being the dominator. But once again, he started out quickly and then slowed down. He was 14 off 9 balls at one stage, and now 30 off 38. And Rogers has been steady.
That lead already up over 200. Second day, and we're into the third innings. The game moving along. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose here. No draw.
Yes, I mean, there hasn't been much there for the English attack. I think we firstly give full marks to Mitchell Johnson for sheer speed, Ryan Harris for more subtle skills, and Nathan Lyon for really looking the real deal. I think that this last hour has given us a better feel for the nature of the pitch than the previous two.
Yeah, look at the first innings of both sides, and neither side were 3 for 30. It wasn't as if they came out and the new ball nipped around everywhere and they nicked them and they're in trouble. Both sides. Australia, 1 for 71 one stage just before lunch. England were 2 for 82 one stage, not in a lot of trouble, and the wickets hadn't fallen to balls moving around off the seam. So I had a quick word with Kevin Mitchell Jr. when we were at the tea time. I said, mate, this is a nightmare. Wickets falling everywhere. And he just laughed and said, yeah, I'm so disappointed. And he wasn't. He was very happy with his surface, and he should be. Because I think it's a very good surface. You've just seen the bowlers bowl much better than the batsmen have batted. That's been the difference. No one's really grabbed the game by the scruff of the throat and said, all right, this is a good pitch to bat on. Let's get on with it.
Quite often happens early in the series. The bowlers get away to a good start, and particularly in Australia, gets a little bit hotter, the pitches get a bit flatter, the bowlers do more work and just get a little tired, and the batsmen get into the rhythm of the series. So quite often you'll find that there are a few low scores early in the series with the bowlers on top.
Don't forget, the game continues tomorrow, 9 o'clock local time, which will be 10 o'clock in Melbourne and Sydney.
The thing that the England attack really lacks is an enforcer, and that's the job that Mitchell Johnson did so well today. When you know that it's going to be a win or a loss, in England's situation, they've got to get some wickets, and they've got to get them quickly.
Rogers can't find the gap. He timed that nicely. So it'll be a maiden. And for those of you who may have just switched on, Australia started 8 down today, and then England came in chasing 295. Cook was the first man to go. Once again, Ryan Harris was the man to start proceedings. Then there was Trott caught down the leg side, the last ball before lunch. Then Kevin Peterson. And that stayed 3 for 82, and we had no idea what was to come. That was 4 for 87. Carberry caught it slip. Johnson around the wicket, and that score of 87 struck 2 more times. Ian Bell caught that pad by Steve Smith. Next ball, Matt Pryor, almost in a replay of the previous one. Johnson gets root, caught it third slip, 7 for 89, and England lost at that stage 6 for 9. It was Graham Swan, and then Tremlett well caught by Nathan Lyon around the corner. Australia really went after the tail, got lots of short stuff. In the end, Broad made 32, gave some respectability to their total. Oh, Warner, inside out over cover. Oh, that's a terrific cricket shot, that. Brings up the 50 in style.
that's a terrific shot. That's dead right, Mark Taylor. I mean, the footwork, the use of the hands, the way that he held the shape of the body. That's a thrilling stroke.
Yeah, he's improved his play a lot against the spinners. He spent a fair bit of time in India, and he's learned a lot about playing spin bowling.
Well, I sense that David Warner might have learnt something from the first innings and even England's innings, that you've got to try and keep scoring, keep the pressure on the bowlers. I think both sides would probably look back at their first innings and say they let the bowlers dominate a little bit. Got off to reasonable starts and then the bowlers dominated.
Yeah, I think if you look back on that period just after Kevin Peterson got out, Carberry was struggling a bit against the off-spinner Nathan Lyon. He didn't really look like scoring, and then Mitchell Johnson went around the wicket and went after him, and there wasn't much happening in the way of run scoring. And boy, didn't the slide start after the loss of Peterson.
They lost that 6 wickets in 54 minutes. There we go, 3 for 82, 143, and by the time they were 8 down for 91, 54 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it can happen. You're a new batsman and the feet aren't going and nothing's really working. You're feeling for the ball, you get out. It can happen. And of course, if it goes the way of the fielding side, it was a good recovery to get Peterson. I mean, Peterson dropped him off a caught and bowled chance, and Peterson looked pretty committed during this innings. I think getting Peterson midway through the afternoon was a huge moment, not just in the day's play, but in the match. None for 51 now.
And don't forget that 9 News will follow the cricket. And, in fact, we're going to see a bowling change out in the middle. Joe Root, part-time off-spinner, into the attack, and this will probably mean that we'll play right to 5:30 local time, because there's no real danger now for the batsman with Swan on at one end and Root on at the other. A little bit dull here, and you thought if maybe Tremlett or Broad was bowling, that the umpires might offer the batsman the light, but at the moment you have to say with 2 offies on, that probably shouldn't happen. So a slip and a bat pad for Rogers.
Well, there's an extra chapter here with Root and Warner. In England, every time Root bowled to Warner or Warner fielded the ball after Root hit it, the crowd were on it because of their altercation and the walkabout bar in Birmingham early in the tour. But Warner will not want to get out to Joe Root. He won't mind hitting him long and hard either if the chance comes.
Interested to see how Rogers plays these 2 spinners. He certainly had his fair share of troubles with Graham Swan in the recent Ashes series. And that pad just coming across the offside as I speak. Oh, and there may have been a little bit of bat in that. Squeezed out on definitely some pad, but was there some bat?
I think you can be sure that that's the reason why Root's bowling, because Rogers is on strike. There was a scream from Pryor to catch it.
We certainly picked up 2 noises, but it went. Rogers had just made a little move down the pitch and the ball went straight. Even though the field is straight, the fielder almost has to go with the batsman, has to retreat with the batsman. Yeah, that's off the bat.
It's better from Joe Root. It's looking well bowled. It's a maiden to start with, none for 51. It's a little gloomy here, but the 2 off-spinners on. So the umpires certainly don't seem concerned at all with the light, which is good. Or should there be? So it'll be Swan to continue to Warner. There he goes, leg side. Goes hard again. He's not going to let Swan settle. Another boundary for Warner.
He's been the aggressor in this innings. He was the aggressor in the first innings. 4 boundaries now for David Warner. The good part about that shot was he didn't try and hit it too hard. Just made sure he timed it, got it over the infield. He wasn't looking for a 6. Just looking to let the off spinner know, I'm going to give you something to think about.
Just thinking what a nightmare for a side who are behind the game David Warner is. A bit like Matthew Hayden, because he bullies you. And if you're down, he wants to keep you down. A bit lucky there, the ball just hurried on. I think he just misjudged the length a bit, to be honest. He'd prefer to have been forward. But he can take it away from you so quick. Just increases the agony. You can't control him. Very Hayden-like.
Rogers has got to take a bit of a leaf, I reckon, out of Warner's book. Obviously, they're very different players, but the last 19 runs have now been scored by David Warner. Rogers has now made 12 from 65. You know, got to start playing for stumps at this stage and give Swan and Root a chance to settle into some tight bowling. He's got to look to score, find a way of scoring against Swan and Root, for that matter. In now on the offside to go with Bell on the leg. There's a problem there. That was the one to score from. It's what happens when you get bogged down. You get opportunities to score and you don't find the gap.
Just looking at Ian Bell, he's very, very close at bat pad. There's quite a bit of bounce here in the Gabba pitch. I think he could give himself perhaps half a metre even.
It's done for 56. Some 33,000 people here today. A good crowd. Good day for Australia. Probably say it was England's day yesterday, but the fight back from Haddon and Johnson late yesterday really gave Australia some hope, and then they've driven it home today. Bowling England out for 136. Now, obviously a very different field now for David Warner when he's on strike to Joe Root. We've got a deep mid-off, also a deepish cover, slip, and 2 men catching in the cover region.
He's got that happy knack, Joe Root, of taking a wicket. It's very rare when he has a bowl and doesn't get a wicket. It's a nice trait to have as a change bowler.
Still using his feet, still keeping the pressure on the bowler. He knows if he beats the man there at short cover, Alistair Cook, he'll get a single. There's 2 men catching there though. Nicely bowled. A little bit of shape there, a little bit of drift in towards the left-hander.
The other thing this big lead does, the big Australian lead on the first innings, it makes Cook captain a way that he's probably not used to. He's got to be a bit more aggressive.
This time he finds the gap. It'll only be a single.
Yeah, his favoured style, and the favoured style of England even under Andrew Strauss, is to contain the opposition, throttle them, stop the run scoring. But on this occasion, he's really got to get wickets, and he's got to get them fairly quickly.
It'll be interesting to see how patient Australia can be, because it's not normally the style, particularly of Warner, Watson, Clark, and even Smith and Bailey. They like to hit the ball, like to play their natural game. Missed out again there, Rogers. And the opportunities he's got to take when facing the spinners. 1 for 57. So the lead is 216 for Australia at present. 1 for 57, 10 wickets in hand. 3 days left in the test match. So Real opportunity for Australia, and they've certainly had some against England in recent times, opportunities to win test matches. Well, none better than this. Last 7 times these two sides have played, England have won 5 of those test matches with 2 draws, and the 2 draws were, one was at Old Trafford and rain cost Australia badly there, and then the Oval when Michael Clarke declared in his second innings and set up a short run chase or a small run chase for England. Warner finds a gap. He'll probably get 2 here. Carberry knocks it down. It's always amazing too when you're a player like David Warner, you hit one to Carberry and he doesn't quite field it cleanly and he gets 2. If that's Chris Rogers, you can just about bet he'll knock that down and there won't be a run.
Yeah, I think also Warner hits the ball a bit harder, and on that occasion it was almost a late cut. The ball was always spinning away from Carberry. Try telling that to Graham Swan.
Swan hates leaking runs, hates it.
Real skill for an off-spin bowler. I remember Greg Matthews used to say as a spin bowler, firstly you've got to be able to stay on and then find a way of getting wickets. There's the difference. Look at that. That's the difference between Warner and Rogers. Same ball, and he finds the gap 3.
Yeah, he does punch the ball into gaps. Also, there's a lot more hands in his play. He's got a nice little wrist cock. We know about the power, but he has also got pretty good timing. He got into position quickly there. The feet moved quickly.
That's better. Rogers, at least he got a single there. Pushed into a gap. Ironic cheer from the crowd too. 41 minutes without scoring there for Rogers. That's a good leave. None for 63. Lead for Australia 222. David Warner, good double this, 49 and now 45 not out.
Yeah, he's been very confident in this match. Started extremely confidently in the first innings. Has a glorious shot over cover from Swan. He's looked to stamp his authority when facing the off-spinner. But he's been in very aggressive, confident form throughout this match, David Warner.
And he's putting the seal on a day that is probably going to be written into the annals of Australian cricket. Let's think back on it, because at the start of the day England polished off the Australian innings and promised much. Then Alistair Cook went to a good delivery from Ryan Harris. Prior to lunch, Australia strung out an over they were never likely to get as the umpire reached the crease almost dead on midday. He allowed the extra over and Mitchell Johnson made it pay, picking up Jonathan Trott. So a bad lunch for England, then a decent hour, then Kevin Pietersen survives the caught and bowl, soon enough chips one to mid-wicket. When Pietersen goes, so the rest go, like a deck of cards. It was a quite remarkable 54-minute period. England lost 6 for 9. Stuart Broad rebounded a bit, made 30-odd. England were bowled out for 136. A massive deficit to deal with, and are now 222 behind because the Australians have not lost a wicket in compiling 63. It's Broad back into the attack, but it's truly Australia's day. We're just an over away from finishing it, I reckon.
Yeah, I was interested to see that England bring on Stuart Broad and what the umpires would do, because if you look at Stuart Broad, you can see a number of shadows around him, and that's caused from the artificial light. He's got about 4 shadows, and that's what the umpires don't like to see. Once they see those artificial lights casting shadows off players, they know that the natural light's just about gone. You can see there, I can see about 3, maybe 4 there. That's normally a sign that the umpires will go on. Get a bouncer there.
The first one from Stuart Broad was decidedly gentle. A little bit on the stiff side, I think. That one was a bit quicker, a bit more threatening.
Yes, you can just about bet the England quicks weren't expecting to bowl today. Although obviously bowled this morning to knock over the Australian tail, but they would have thought that's their job done. It's now time to put the feet up for a while. Not quite the venom there from Broad that we saw in the first innings.
Well, that was an extraordinary duck from Chris Rogers. Sure, the ball didn't bounce very high, but it did appear he didn't pick it up. Have a look where this goes past him. At least he keeps watching it.
Just wonder if that went off a crack a little bit. It seemed to go away from Rogers and really didn't bounce anywhere near as high as he thought it was going to. Just wonder if it hit that big crack that's sort of running down the pitch there. That one's just flicked the helmet. There's certainly not the bounce there, is there, that we saw from Johnson and probably Harrison co earlier today.
He did well to duck under that, Chris Rogers. It didn't bounce all that high at all. Must have just nicked the helmet on the way through. There was some noise. That looks like it clipped the back of the helmet. But it really didn't bounce very high.
Well, he knows it's the last over of the day. He knows how he got out in the first innings to a ball at chest high that he fended to the gully. He's determined not to have to play at any ball here. If he can avoid playing, he will. He has to survive. 2 balls left.
And 1 ball left in the day's play. David Warner's safe, 45 not out at one end. Rogers needs to negotiate this last delivery for what's been a super day for Australia. Came in with sort of questions being posed about how well they batted yesterday. They've shown, even though it's a good pitch, never easy to bat first up in a test match. What they made was 295. Brad Haddon ran himself out for 94, just short of that 100. And England all out 136. Here we go, last ball. There'll be runs here for Rogers. They should get at least 2 here. Australians in the change room will be absolutely delighted with that. Day 2 has squarely belonged to the Australian side. A superb day for them. Rogers remains 15 not out. Warner 45 not out. The overall lead for Australia, 224 runs with 3 days remaining. Don't forget, play continues tomorrow local time at 9 a.m. for Sydney and Melbourne viewers, 10 a.m. We look forward to your company then, but from all of us here at the Gabba, it's bye for now.